Yeah.
You want to like him, but you can't.
Are you listening?
What?
Are you listening?
Did you bring me on this show to insult me?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all don't want it with us, man. You straight gangsters over here,
Straight
man.
gangsters. Yeah, it is Thursday, October 4th, and you are listening to the Scout Team with Scout Team Sports. We are always excited to be on the airwaves, and I am one of your gracious hosts.
You are the most egotistical, self-deluded person I have ever met.
That is all true. I am Loudbeard, and on the other mic is the man, the great patriot himself, and that would be...
Yeah, it's your boy, Chris America, coming to you live this Thursday morning. Had to think about what day today was. Days are starting to run together there, Loudbeard.
Yes, they are. The weeks get... I mean, the whole year itself just seems like it was a blur, a blink of the eye, and the whole year goes by. I can't believe it's already fall. It's already October, and just Mondays turn into Fridays, and the weekend flies by like the blink of an eye, and I don't even know what today is. I guess it's Thursday because I looked at it on the calendar, but I don't even know if that's even true. None of it. I don't know. We live in a paradox.
Is it still 1992?
It's still 1992.
Okay, good.
When I went to bed last night, Ross Perot announced that he was going to be running as an independent for the president, and I really like that guy. Yeah,
big ears, though. Big ears.
Yeah,
big set of ears.
That means he's smart.
Yes, and he can
I've
hear.
heard that.
He can listen to the voters.
He loves listening to what the voters have to say, and he also loves listening to Scout Team Sports. He listens to Scout Team Sports every Monday through Friday, 6 a.m., and again at 11 a.m. on 12-ounce Sports Radio. And if he can't catch the live show, he goes on to his phone, his smartphone, and he goes to Apple Podcasts, and he listens to us through that, because in 1992, Apple Podcasts was hot.
It was so hot.
It's still hot. It's like so hot right now. And Spotify podcasts, and anywhere you can find a podcast, you can check it out, Scout Team Radio, or check our website out, scoutteamradio.com. We're all over the place. Make sure you listen. Make sure you rate us 5 stars on iTunes. I don't know. Is that still a thing? Subscribe.
I think so. Subscribe and like this video.
Woo! Yeah, do all of that. And if you like it, go like us. Go to Twitter and at Scout Team Radio, and on Facebook, and on Instagram. And this is just going to be promotion. Start out the show Thursday. That's how we're going to roll with it today.
Promotional Thursday.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So another great week in sports, but the weekend's coming up, so we're getting excited about what's coming up on the weekend. But Thursday night to me is like the kickoff to the weekend. Thursday night you start getting a lot of great games, and I think this Thursday night football, now that they do Thursday night football throughout the year, to me that's like, okay, now we're kicking off to the weekend, and we can get ready for that. So we've got great baseball playoff games ahead of us Thursday night. We have got great football games. Last night, the A's, Yankees, we'll get into that game a little bit. Last night, hockey, like to kick off. I guess you kick off in hockey with a puck. I don't know how you kick the puck off.
You drop the puck. They drop the puck.
You face off.
You faced off.
Face off wins stuff. Yeah.
That was a good movie. Was that a good movie? That was a movie with Nicolas Cage and John Travolta. I saw it at a younger age, so maybe I
switch faces.
Yeah, they switched faces. Supposedly, somehow they've switched bodies too, because John Travolta's body looks nothing like Nicolas Cage's. But movie magic.
Movie magic. Woo! Yeah, I definitely think that it was good at the time, but it didn't hold a candle to some of Nick Cage's other movies, and one of them was Con Air. That was by far the best Nicolas Cage movie that I've ever seen. And don't at me, Loudbeard. At Loudbeard. Don't at me.
At Loudbeard. Don't at him.
Don't at me. Nicolas Cage's best movie is still Con Air. To this day, I don't know what else he has done that would even put him in that. What other movies would be in that conversation? But that is by far one of the greatest Nicolas Cage's movies. All right, so moving on. I don't even know how I got on to Nicolas Cage, but we're going to be talking about Major League Baseball playoffs. We got NFL action. We've got college football action. We've got a time machine, a DeLorean that we're revving up in the background. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's getting revved up. All kinds of great stuff going on. But Chris America, how are you doing, man? What's new with you, sir?
Same old, same old. We did a show last night. It was pretty fun. It was me and the Golden Mike getting after it, getting some little one-on-one time with the Mac. He's very confident in his Florida State Seminoles, but also not very confident. But he's talking trash. He's living it up until he can't live it up anymore. So he's hoping for a win, but he also predicted in real life, he's like, in all realness, it's 21 points that we're going to lose by.
Oh, did he admit to that? It doesn't seem like he would admit to something like that.
No,
I feel like you're making that up.
No, you got to listen. You can listen to the replay tomorrow at 4:00 on Friday at 12 Out Sports.
Oh, I might do that. I love listening back to you guys. Now, were you able to start on time? Because I saw an ominous text come through, and I was a little worried that you guys would start it a little late. What happened with that?
No, we were 5 minutes late, and what happened was I was on another radio show talking on the phone. It was Big Cats Wednesdays. I don't know. I'm sure you got the schedule in front of you. I don't know what time they come on today, but Loudbeard will give you that time. They come on today, and I was on their show talking Gators in Kentucky, and I was on the phone while I was heading to your place, and I was just kind of on autopilot. And we always go to your studio. I was driving out there, and I got right up to your neighborhood. And I was like, oh, man, I am totally at the wrong place. So then luckily that was at like 7:10, 7:15. So I had to turn around and go over to the Mac Studios, to the Golden Mike Studios, and got there about, 7:25, 7:26-ish. Had to set up all the equipment and everything. And then we got rolling at 7:35.
You guys being a little bit late, I would say that that's kind of expected. Not that that's your MO or anything, Chris America, but Chris
Not
America is a fashionably late kind of guy. I bet Miss America would have some good stories about that, but we'll save that for another day. Let's save that for another day. I missed being on the show last night. I took our middle daughter to Halloween Horror Nights, which has become kind of a family tradition. So I was out late last night. So if I'm lacking a little energy today, you can just poke me or prod me or whatever you've got to do to get me going. But I feel like I'm doing okay with this because I went to bed after 1 o'clock and it's already 6 a.m. and I'm back up and ready to go because I love what we do here on 12 Ounce Sports Radio with the Scout team.
Are you by any chance taking any performance enhancement drugs right now, Loudbeard?
No, I am not. I would not do that unless you count caffeine because caffeine, if it is a performance-enhancing drug, that would be something I am taking. I am not taking any other performing-enhancing drugs. Now, I do want to just throw out real quick, I'm going to give you a highlight of my evening at Halloween Horror Nights. I know our listeners, I don't know if they've ever been. If they don't know what it is, Universal Studios here in Orlando, Florida, likes to put on this Halloween Horror Nights. They've been doing it for 28 years. It is a lot of fun, but this year they did not have the Bill and Ted. It was the first year they haven't had Bill and Ted in 20 or something years. And I'm telling you, that show was one of the highlights of Halloween Horror Nights. So missing that was definitely a miss on their part. And whatever show they used to replace it did not look like it was entertaining at all. I didn't go watch it because I just did not want to watch something that would not be entertaining. And the other thing, and this is an enigma to me, we're going to go back in time to 1992 today, but if we went back in time to 1982, we'd be able to watch the movie E.T. For some reason, they still have an E.T. ride at Universal. I don't know if it's for nostalgia, but, I mean, do people still talk about E.T.? Like, is this still a popular thing? I think Universal needs to just cut the ties, man. It's time for E.T. to phone home.
Yeah, I have no idea how that ride's still there. Every time I've gone, I have annual passes to Universal. Every time I've gone, it's a 5-minute wait. So, I mean, it's a quick little, hey, let's jump on this ride. The kids still like it because they're 8, 9, 10 years old. But it's just so boring. I don't even want to say the graphics. What am I looking for here? I mean, they still have mannequins as their like cops and stuff. It's just a ride full of mannequins, no Robotronics, none of that stuff. It is pretty lame.
Yeah, the technology has definitely come up to speed. I did go on the Fast and the Furious ride and the Green Gots ride and all these other rides, and I mean the technology is great on these new high tech rides. And then E.T., it's like, man, that's taking the time machine back and going back into time. Back in 1985, that was a great ride. That was a great movie at the time, a great ride, all of that. Nowadays, man, that's hot garbage. I think it's time to move on.
I mean, even if you just updated the ride itself, you could still keep it E.T., and as long as you made it like a 3D bicycle adventure or something, I don't know, make it something other than just you're on this cart that's supposed to look like a bicycle and you just kind of go on this track to look at mannequins.
I don't want to look at mannequins, Chris America. That's not what I want to do. That is as hot garbage as the hot take you had about this whole Prodigy situation. We need to talk about this. I don't know if our listeners had an opportunity, but you were out there on Twitter throwing out some serious questions, and you and I have completely opposite stances of where this is going. So let me hear what you have to say so I can argue it to the death.
Okay, so I was in a discussion with a friend about Prodigy and steroids and everything else, and so I was like, you know what, let me get the voice of the people. Let me hear what the people think on this debate. I'm not even using it to go to that person and be like, see, people agree with me. I'm not even going to go to that person with it. I just wanted to kind of take like put my finger on the pulse of the people. For me, Prodigy means that you are a naturally talented person at what you do. So whether that's playing piano or fighting or football or baseball, whatever it is, it means like I can watch you and see that all of the techniques of the whatever it is you're doing, you have it naturally. So, like, some people you have to teach how to be a quarterback, and other people just pick up a football and they just know what to do. And all you have to do is send in a good coach and kind of, like, hone in those skills. Or with baseball, some people just pick up a baseball bat and they just know how to swing the bat. They know how to time it right. Their hand-eye coordination is through the roof. And they're just a naturally talented, baseball player, or at least just a naturally talented batter. You take a pitcher just the guy just knows how to spot the ball. He knows where he just has natural talent of just naturally placing the ball wherever he needs to go and everything else like that. And usually the word prodigy is associated with youth. It's something that you see at a young age. Like you see everything I'm talking about, you see at 12, maybe 15, 16, 17. You see it at such a young age, and you're able to know, like, man, this kid's a prodigy. He's going places. He's going to be a great athlete. But I also don't think prodigy means you're going to be a Hall of Famer, or prodigy means you're going to be the greatest of all time. It just means that at a very young age, people looked at you and said, this kid has it. This kid has a feel for the sport. Did you lose me?
No, I gotcha. I feel where you're going with this. Okay.
So, like, Barry Bonds, for instance, was an example used. He already was a prodigy growing up in high school, college, and in the minor leagues in his earlier part of his career. You looked at how he plays the baseball game, and you're like, wow, this guy is just naturally talented at baseball. His bat swing is great. His timing is great. His bat speed is awesome. He knows how to see the ball. He knows how to hit the ball. You knew he was – I hear what you're doing back there. You know what he's doing. And then he starts taking steroids. He allegedly started taking steroids. We never proved it, but we'll just assume he did because we know he did. So when he started taking steroids, that doesn't negate everything he was leading up to that point where he took steroids. For whatever reason, maybe he wanted to hit the most home runs. Maybe he saw Ken Griffey Jr. on the other side of the spectrum, and he's like, man, that prodigy is way better than I am. I need to be better than that prodigy. So he starts taking steroids. Maybe he's like, I love the band Prodigy that's playing right now. I am a fire starter, so I'm going to take steroids.
Well, I mean, if you're going to be talking about prodigies, I figure we got to get
Yeah.
some good
No, it's
Prodigy
cool. I like
music
it.
on in the
I
background.
like it.
All right.
So my point is,
Okay, go
yes, you can be a prodigy, or you could have been a prodigy, and still take steroids. Steroids doesn't negate the fact that you were a prodigy.
ahead. I like how you keep saying the word prodigy. And
Prodigy.
Prodigy's playing in the background. Okay, I see where you're going with all of this, and you bring up some really good points. The natural, the prodigy. I just don't think that we can give the word. I feel like I put the word prodigy up on a higher level than maybe what you're saying it is. When you say a prodigy, I think of like once in a lifetime type of just unique talent. The examples I gave out on Twitter and what I'm going to explain to our listeners is that, in my opinion, a guy that's a prodigy, we'll use one of your favorite athletes, for example, Joey Chestnut. This is a prodigy. This is a once-in-a-lifetime competitive eater that will his natural talents will never come around again. There will never be a Joey Chestnut. He is by far one of the greatest in his sport and of all time in the professional competitive eating ring. Now, another guy that I'm going to use as an example is Tiger Woods. To me, Tiger Woods, from when he was a small child till now, has always been a prodigy. He came up, he was one of the youngest players ever to be on the PGA Tour. He came out, he was winning majors. Even though he may not have won the most majors of all time, he still could do that. But, Jack Nicklaus is still going to be one of the greatest of all times. When Tiger Woods was coming up, he was a prodigy at golf. When you talk about some of these baseball players, when I think of Barry Bonds, Barry Bonds is a great, amazing baseball player. I can't put anything behind him on that. Now, because he was using PEDs, yes. His whole demeanor and the way everybody, not his demeanor, but the way everybody looks at him, it gets covered up with this PED stuff. That's going to be something that's always marred with his reputation. And I think the same thing with John Jones. That's another one of your favorite athletes that I think is part of this example. And, with all that being said, I do think that these guys are great athletes, and I don't want to take it away from them, but I don't know that I would consider them prodigies. To me, the word prodigy is just, I guess it's got a different definition than what maybe you're looking at it. And
so
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think what you're saying is right, but I don't know that I would give someone like John Jones. A fighter that I would say was a prodigy is Tyson. He came up, and nobody could hold anything to him.
No,
he was destroying guys. He was naturally gifted as a fighter. He was unbelievable from a very, very young age. And to me, Mike Tyson would be considered a prodigy. I have a very limited bucket that I would say the word prodigy could be used for. One, the band Prodigy, and then maybe a couple of these other guys, but not John Jones and anybody with PED stuff, no. So, I know we lost our background music. I hope you don't mind. That was our prodigy for the day.
Honestly, I busted out some glow sticks. I was, raving a little bit in the back. I had the lights going on and off, flickering.
And that's different from any other day. How?
Not at all. Just I had background music this time.
Oh, okay. Well, that helps. Usually you do that sitting
Usually
alone in a dark room.
Music.
Yeah.
You just do that without music. So
yeah. Oh boy.
I think for me, I don't think Tom Brady is a prodigy because we saw him in college, and he couldn't even start at his team. He's a guy that was drafted in the 6th round. He's not a prodigy, but he's still the greatest of all time. I think we sometimes I think this is a classic debate of you have your definition, I have my definition, and that's fine. For me, I think prodigy is at the early stage of life, and then what do you do with that talent? I've seen tons of prodigies that just don't pan out. I made Tim Tebow my example. Tim Tebow is a prodigy. He was naturally gifted. Now, whether it was just he wasn't developed properly or he wasn't given the chance to prove himself in the NFL, either way, he wasn't able to see his natural talents go to greatness for whatever reason. He's just not in the NFL anymore, so he'll never be the greatest football player of all time. We'll say he's the greatest college football player of all time, but he's never going to be the greatest football player of all time. Where Tom Brady, if his career ended in the 6th round of the NFL draft, we would never know who he is. he would never be a prodigy. He would never be the greatest of anything. But because he was given a shot and he developed his talents, he eventually became the greatest of all time. And I do believe that steroids means you can't be the greatest of all time. I think for John Jones, it's going to be hard to say he's the greatest of all time. He's 30, so maybe if he can put together 10 clean years, and in those 10 clean years, he just dominates the sports like he was prior to taking steroids, maybe we'll be able to say he was the greatest of all time. But you're still going to have detractors who will never, ever, ever, admit to that because they believe once you take steroids, you're just tainted the rest of your life. So I do think
it's the competitive advantage.
Yeah. Well, if you do take steroids, I don't believe you can be the greatest of all time, especially if that's how your career ends. If you end it on taking steroids, then it's bad. But if you get busted for steroids at a young age and then you're like, you know what, you're right, I'm going to clean up my act, I'm done taking steroids, and you do the right things the rest of your life, I'm not the type of person that's going to hold your mistake against you. And I'm not going to just turn off my brain and say, okay, well, he took steroids 10 years ago, and he's been playing his sport clean for 10 years, and he's the most amazing athlete I've ever seen. But because he took steroids 10 years ago, I'm gonna wash away all of that. I personally can't do that, but I know a lot of people can, and I understand it.
Yeah, and when you look at MMA right now, there's a lot of guys that are getting busted for PEDs. When you look at baseball in the 90s, there was a lot of guys getting busted. It's also a sports problem. You want this to be like a gentleman's sport, all of these sports, but in MMA, it's such a grueling battle for these guys. Every fight, they come out, they're injured, they have to train so hard. You see a lot of them having problems with trying to get into their weight, so then they're like fasting for like 7 days before the fight, and major health issues are coming about with that. So these PEDs, it's a natural fit for what they're doing, and unfortunately, a lot of these negative tests end up coming out. Brock Lesnar, who the guy is just huge, he gets busted after his last fight, and then we're not sure if he's even going to fight again. He had a lot of injuries, and he's trying to use the PEDs to come back from injury. I mean, these are big names, and I think the UFC just needs to look at it and say, how are we going to fix this? I think it's something that'll help the whole sport in general if they're able to clean it up, because a guy like John Jones, he is such a good draw, and he's such a great fighter. Fans want to see a clean John Jones beat Daniel Cormier. I think that's what they want to see, because he's beaten Daniel Cormier, and we saw it. He beat him bad. He's beaten him, twice now, right? This will be the third one if they go for another one.
Yeah, unless you're Craig on Uneducated Fight Club, he will tell you that the second fight never happened.
Okay, yeah, I mean, it was considered a no contest, but it still happened, and you still look at it and say, yeah, we all saw what happened, and Cormier was just beat up bad, and John Jones was a better fighter. It's just because of that. It's just crazy.
That's what makes steroids so frustrating, because John Jones beat DC, but because it's no contest, DC is running around, running his mouth, talking about how great of a fighter he is, and people are saying he's the greatest of all time. And I think no matter what, steroids leaves doubt into your mind about John Jones, but steroids also leaves doubt in a lot of people's minds to Daniel Cormier and his legacy. All of his fans will tell you he's the greatest of all time because, he's beaten everybody and he's been clean and everything else. And that's great. They can have that opinion. That's their right. But in most sports fans' minds, people are going to say, I don't know how you can be considered the greatest of all time when I saw you boohoo crying after you got knocked the F out.
Yeah, that's a bad look, and I don't consider him the greatest of all time. I don't know that we see the greatest of all time in the UFC right now. When you look at it as a whole, there's a lot of great fighters that have come through, a lot of big names, and I don't know that any of them stick out as being that just once-in-a-lifetime guy. Now, John Jones could have been that guy, but because of his PED, tests, he can't be. And the sad part is he's the guy that could have been. He could have been that guy. And you're right. Maybe 10 years of being clean will help turn that around. Man, Chris America, we're 25 minutes into our show, and I don't even think we talked about any of the real sports issues. We're just going crazy debate. Debate Thursday. We're talking
and
about
we love it.
PEDs.
But
yeah.
this is good. It's a change up from our normal let's talk football. I like it, man. And we got the big UFC fight coming up. We got the big romper bet. Another big name that would hurt UFC if he got busted for steroids would be Conor McGregor. And
Hey, don't be wishing that on my guy. Okay, this is it.
I mean,
you're
if
gonna watch it.
McGregor
I mean,
wins,
if Khabib got busted for PEDs, that would be
he
such
could.
a shame.
He could. It would be a shame.
I think it's possible.
Listen, both of these guys.
You listen.
Both of these guys are very.
You listen.
You listen. Okay, everybody, listen to me. If both of these guys are susceptible to. Okay, I tell you everything. You look like
I'm a fun
man.
guy.
I'm a fun guy. Hey, now you made me lose my train of thought. All right, so these guys are very susceptible to steroids.
Go ahead.
Screw you, Loudbeard. Take
Oh,
Conor McGregor, for instance.
I've never heard
It's
of him.
very believable that he might say, man, I haven't been in the ring in 2 years. I can't come out here and get my ass kicked. I can't come out here and be low stamina. I haven't really been working out ever since I got that $100 million paycheck. It is very reasonable to think that maybe he doesn't take steroids, but he takes one of the 1,000 banned substances by USADA, and it won't surprise me if he comes out. Same thing with
Like poppy
Khabib.
seeds.
Yeah, with Khabib, he could be doing the same thing. Like, man, I've been talking all this trash. I'm undefeated. I'm the champ. I want to stay the champ. I don't want to get beat by Conor McGregor, so I'm going to take something to give me a little bit of an edge. That happens all the time, and it's understandable why athletes do it. It's wrong, but it's understandable why they do it. So either way, if one of our guys tests positive for PEDs, no romper bet. Romper bet is off.
Okay, I can live with that. I feel like having a little bit of a structure to our bet is a good thing, even though sometimes we're a little off the rails with what we're doing.
Or if, like, Conor McGregor loses but Khabib has the steroids, I have to wear a romper bet that has, like, muscle pictures on it or something. Like it's just
All right.
a muscle.
How about this? You have to wear the romper bet with a turnover bag. The secure the bag.
Oh.
Imagine
Man.
that. I think we can make that happen.
All right.
That's like the icing on the cupcake right there.
If steroids are involved, the person's fighter who took the steroids has to wear the romper with the turnover bag.
Ooh,
Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Okay, got it.
We got to secure the bag. All right, a couple minutes before the commercial break, I just want to mention this. We're going to probably
carry
spend
around a
2
juice
minutes.
box for your fighter who juiced.
Okay, I like that. I got to mention this because this is my team, Washington Capitals. They come in with a fury of goals, winning 7-0 against the Boston Bruins. And guess what? Hockey is back. Hockey is, to me, one of the most underestimated sports. It's a lot of fun, and it is back. NHL started last night. Washington raises their victory banner from last year's Stanley Cup, and I love it. The only downside to this whole evening for the Washington Capitals is Tom Wilson has been suspended for the first 20 games of the season for an illegal check to the head of a player during a preseason game. Now, the NHL is citing that they're worried about player safety. I think they've been talking to the guys over at the NFL a little too much. I'm telling you, this is a league where we let guys just fight on the ice legally, and all they do is check each other into the boards left and right. I didn't see this illegal hit, but suspending a guy for 20 games, I mean, that seems like it's a little harsh. Now, some of the Capital players have come out and they have openly said to the league that this is garbage, that they are suspending Tom Wilson for 20 games. All right, we're day one of hockey. We already have some great storylines. I'm ready for a great hockey season. Aren't you, Chris America?
Yeah, and hockey is kind of just sneaks up on you if you're not a true blue hockey fan. It comes you're always get to October and you're so involved with, playoffs, baseball playoffs, and you're enthralled into like week 4 and 5 of the college football and NFL season. And then all of a sudden you turn on SportsCenter and you're like, Well, the hockey season just dropped off, or they dropped the puck on the hockey season, and you're like, whoa, wait,
I
that's
believe it's
right.
a kickoff.
A
They kicked
kickoff,
off
yeah.
hockey. Yeah. They kicked the puck.
Hockey teed off today. They went to the first tee. And you're just like, oh, man, that's right. Hockey does start in October. I always assume that hockey starts the same time basketball season starts. Every single year I get fooled by this when it starts in the
It
first week
sneaks
of
up
October.
in you. It's very, very sneaky. You know what else is very, very sneaky? When all of a sudden you turn around and it's 1992.
Did you know 40 points on your credit score could cost you $40,000 on a mortgage? Thankfully, Lexington Law is here to help. Since 1991, Lexington Law has helped over 500,000 customers take action on their credit reports. Call 877-910-7472 to talk to a repair specialist now. Personalized credit consultation is free. Getting access to your report is free. Plus free score evaluation with a recommended solution. Call now and get on the path to recovery. Call Lexington Law at 877-910-7472. That's 877-910-7472.
Oh, it's summertime. And what's that mean? We're all heading off to the golf course. But don't go too fast. Make sure you go to 12ouncesportsradio.com and book a tee time. At the bottom of any page, you'll see Book Like a Pro. Click that banner, enter your course of choice or zip code, find a tee time you like, book that tee time, and you'll get up to 50% off, courtesy of 12-Ounce Sports Radio. Book like a pro, even if you don't play like one.
Ring Central features all-in-one phone, messaging, and video conferencing. It's easy to use with unparalleled security. Ring Central simplifies things so you can grow. Call Ring Central to speak with a representative about a price for your growing business at 877-779-3860. Again, that's 877-779-3860.
Yeah, it is a beautiful Thursday morning, and you are listening to Scout Team Sports. We are the Scout Team. I'm Loudbeard. He's Chris America. We're bringing it hot each and every weekday, Monday through Friday at 6 a.m. and again at 11 a.m. on 12-Ounce Sports Radio. The 12-Ounce Sports Radio station has a heck of a lineup today. There is definitely one show I want to point out to all of our listeners. At 8 p.m. tonight, Cats Talk Wednesday on a Thursday is coming at you hot with special guest, the myth, the legend, the patriot himself. That would be Chris America. That's
the
a great
Prodigy.
show. the fire starter. So on the station today, we've got some great shows coming up. 8 a.m. Clutch Talk Sports. Kevin over there does a great job. He is one of our affiliates with Sports Radio America. Make sure you check him out. And then again, we got at noon, we've got Memphis Spence, another affiliate with Sports Radio America. He brings you College Credit Hour. And, man, this show comes in hot. Want to make sure you check it out. And what else we got going on today? Kentucky Sports Guys on at 4 p.m. All Sports Best at 5. Weekend Warrior at 6. And then the Primetime Angles radio show live is tonight at 10 p.m. So a heck of a lineup here on the radio station. But you know what? I don't care as much about that as I care about what happened, man. I feel like Rip Van Winkle, but in reverse.
Wait a minute, Doc. Are you telling me that you built a time machine out of a DeLorean?
Yes, we are going back in time to 1992. We weren't talking about Mortal Kombat. I looked that up wrong. Well, we're going to look up 92 because I thought we were talking about Mortal Kombat. We were really talking about Street Fighter. So maybe next week we'll have to do a time machine on the year that Street Fighter came out. But for now, we're going to do the year that Mortal Kombat came out because that's what we prepped for. So 1992, Loudbeard, how you doing over there in 92?
Man, I loved 1992. It was a great year. There was a lot of good stuff going on. And I'm going to jump you a little bit here because you're talking about Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat's one of the greatest events in video games of all time. Yes, we were talking about Street Fighter the other day. We were talking about the great movie known as Street Fighter with Jean-Claude Van Damme. Everybody needs to go see it if you haven't seen it already. It is amazing. But one of the greatest events in sports history, the Washington Redskins win the Super Bowl. They have quarterback Mark Rippon, running back Ernest Biner. You've got an unbelievable cast. You have the Hogs up on the offensive line. You have Art Monk, Hall of Famer, wide receiver. This was one of the greatest sports teams of all time. And the Redskins, they beat the Buffalo Bills. And it's that was the second loss the Bills took in their series of 4 losses. The other three coming from the Giants and 2 from the Cowboys. The NFC East has absolutely owned the Buffalo Bills. But I just wanted to say, Super Bowl winning champions, 1992, my Washington Redskins.
Yeah, that was a good year for the Redskins starting off.
Wait. There was supposed to be a moment of silence for the Washington Redskins and their greatness. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And somehow that year, maybe you can give me some hints on that. Later on in the draft, the Washington Redskins picked number 4. They got Desmond Howard, wide receiver out of Michigan.
Yeah, Desmond Howard, he won the Heisman that year, if I remember correctly. He was so electric because he could return kicks. They had him like all over the field. He was one of the best kind of utility guys ever to come out of college football. And I love Desmond Howard. I don't know why they had the 4th pick in the draft. I'm sure it was the result of some sort of trade. But
yeah, usually Wikipedia will tell you why they have it, but they don't. The Indianapolis Colts that draft actually had pick number 1 and pick number 2, and they were complete strikeouts on both of them.
Wow. That's awful.
They drafted Steve Emtman. I guess I'm saying that right, a defensive end out of Washington.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe he had a decent career, but he never made the Pro Bowl. And then they drafted Quinton Coriat, linebacker out of Texas A&M. Neither one of those guys panned out, and the Colts were never really a good team until they got Peyton Manning. They were kind of hot garbage in the 90s.
Yeah, but they had Jim Harbaugh as their quarterback in the 90s. That's good times right there.
Yeah.
You can't just boo-hoo on that. You had Jim Harbaugh. You were a classic 8-8 team every year.
So I was looking through this draft. I thought I would see a bunch of names that I knew. If you were drafted in 92, I felt like those would be the guys that we would grow up with. Because I was 9, you were 10 in 92. So these are the guys that we're going to be seeing through our teenage years. Yeah, none of them.
It was a weak draft. And I remember 92 being a really weak draft. Because even Desmond Howard didn't really shine in the NFL like he should have. He's known for his college career. There wasn't a whole lot of names in that 92 draft that really jump out at you.
Yeah, so in round 6, a name that you might know, a quarterback by the name
Tom
of
Brady.
Jeff Blake. Nope, Jeff Blake.
Oh, okay.
Out of East Carolina, was drafted by the New York Jets. And then where did he go? And round number 9, yes, they had 9 rounds back in the day. The Minnesota Vikings selected Brad Johnson out of Florida State. Those were the only 2 quarterbacks really of names of note from this draft. It was awful.
Yeah, that sounds absolutely awful. Let's move on to.
It's probably why teams like Colorado and Georgia Tech won national championships around that time, because there were no good football players.
Yeah, the talent pool was shallow, to say the least. Now, I mentioned this earlier, but I've got to throw it out again. Did you know that in 1992, Tiger Woods became the youngest player to play on the PGA Tour? I mean, this guy is a prodigy. Not John Bones Jones. It was Tiger Woods. He was 16 years old in 1992, and that was his first PGA event, youngest player to play on the PGA.
Which is crazy to think about, little 16-year-old Tiger.
Yeah, a little scrawny little punk.
So some other things of note from the NFL season in 92.
You're going NFL deep. Balls deep.
Well, because there was a lot of interesting things. This was the last
Okay, let's
season.
hear it.
So the 92-93 season was the last season that Joe Montana played for the San Francisco 49ers. He got hurt on December 28th of 92. I forget which team he was playing, but it was on Monday Night Football, I believe, that he got hurt. And that's when the Steve Young era took over. Your Washington Redskins did not follow up very well. They made the playoffs the next year, but they were 9-7. And did you know the Phoenix Cardinals were in the NFC East back in 1992?
I do remember the Cardinals being in the NFC East, and I do remember them being in Phoenix. So, yeah, good times. I'm feeling old now.
Yeah, I don't ever remember them being called the Phoenix Cardinals. I always remember them being the Arizona Cardinals. I'm not sure when they changed that name. So, yeah, those were kind of some things of note. The Niners went 14-2 in the 92-93 season, and Miami Dolphins were good back in the day, 11-5. Looking good.
Yeah, the Niners got beat by the Cowboys in the NFC Championship game, I think, that year, and that was like a big game. So, yeah, I'm with you, man. This was good times. Good times.
Yeah, great times. And, man, this was probably one of the best sports summers of all time because you had Michael Jordan getting his second championship, his second NBA MVP in the finals that summer, kind of early. Yeah, in that summer, June 3rd through the 14th. And then he turns around and he joins the Dream Team on the Olympics team. They finally allow professional basketball players to play in the Olympics, and that 92 Dream Team was probably the sickest basketball team. They would run circles around the Golden State Warriors.
The greatest team ever assembled behind the Avengers.
Behind the Avengers.
I do think that the Dream Team in 92, there was one key mistake that could have been changed. If I had a time machine, wait, we do have a time machine. Okay, we're going to take our time machine. We're going to go back in time, and I would take Christian Laettner off that team and put Shaquille O'Neal because that was the year Shaq got drafted.
Yeah.
And I think having Shaquille O'Neal as the one college player that they wanted to have on the team. Now, Laettner's one of the greatest college basketball players of all time, so having him on the team isn't a bad thing. He was a good professional, but he's really known for what he did at Duke. But if you would have had Shaq on that team, it really would have been a League of Legends, the Dream Team. I think that was the only miss there. And then Isaiah Thomas from the Pistons, not the little Isaiah Thomas that plays now, the real Isaiah Thomas. He also should have been on that team, but him and Michael Jordan beefed, and Michael Jordan owned the league, so I don't think Jordan wanted Isaiah Thomas on the Dream Team.
And you can imagine the Twitter storm and the hot takes and all of the debate shows talking about Michael Jordan versus Isaiah Thomas beef. It would have been just so obnoxious.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. You know what else was obnoxious is Monica Seles' grunt every time she would hit the ball. But she was on fire in 1992. I'm talking tennis. Yes, I am talking tennis, Chris America.
Yes.
Australian Open, the U.S. Open, and French Open were all won by Monica Seles. She was on top of the tennis world in 1992, and she would give you the good old every time she hit the ball, and it was amazing.
Little 10-year-old Loudbeard loved it.
It was amazing. Good old Loudbeard.
So in 92, the World Series, that would belong to who? Do you know who won the World Series?
I do. It was the Toronto Blue Jays, and that was
Canada.
the legendary series with Joe Carter, man. Joe Carter hitting some key home runs in that series and bringing it for the Toronto Blue Jays.
And it was a back and forth series. It was 6 games, but it would kind of go Atlanta 1-1, then Toronto. Actually, no, I'm looking at it now. Atlanta 1-1, then Toronto rallied off 3. Looked like they were going to get the gentleman's sweep, but then the Braves took Game 5 in Toronto, and so Toronto had to come back and win it in Atlanta in Game 6, which I don't know about you, Loudbeard, but I hate when the away team wins the championship.
Yeah, it loses a little bit of its fun because the home team crowd can't just enjoy it the way they should. It's bad for the home team because their team just got beat in a championship, and the away team that wins the championship, there's 10% of the crowd that's there, like cheering them on, giving them this warm welcome, but they're not even home. And they still have to go fly back to wherever to start getting ready for the parade. Yeah, I'm with you, man. It's one of the worst things. I think there should be some rule where if you do win it, then you have to go back and play the game again on their home field and do like a mock. And I don't know. That sounds stupid too. I don't know how you fix that, but that sucks.
Yeah, it does suck. I don't think there is a way to fix it. It's just one of those things where you just kind of deal with it and just hope it doesn't happen too often.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Who knows what could happen? The future may never know. So, I mean, that's a lot of the sports stuff going in 92. Did you have any other sports stuff before we get on to these other great events from 1992?
Well, we'll do what we always do with hockey, and that's just glaze over it, and that's the Pittsburgh Penguins won the the Stanley Cup in 92.
I gotcha.
4 games to 0. They swept the Hawks, the Blackhawks.
All right. Well, good. I'm glad you brought up the hockey again. We're going at just hardcore hockey today. I love it.
So I'm going to go video games. We talked about Street Fighter. For some reason in my head, when I woke up this morning, I thought it was Mortal Kombat. And so I was like, when did Mortal Kombat come out? Mortal Kombat came out in 92. So let's roll with that. 92 was a fantastic video game year, Loudbeard. I don't know how my parents ever afforded all these games. They didn't. So I just went over to friends' houses who did have parents who could afford them. Or, you're like, oh, well, Loudbeard has Mortal Kombat and Sonic 2. And then Golden Mike, he has Wolfenstein 3D and Kirby's Dream Land. So we'll go over to his house for that, or he can bring it over to Loudbeard's house. Just a lot of great games, but my favorite game in 92 had to have been Super Mario Kart. I played the hell out of that thing at my neighbor's house.
That's one of those games that's still fun now because you would just compete with each other, and it didn't matter what track you were on. You would pick different people. The smaller ones were faster. Bowser was always slow, but he would always run people over. Mario Kart, still to this day, is one of the best games ever to be made.
Yeah.
Good times with that one.
I mean, throwing in like the shells and the banana peels, and you're stopping your opponents from doing well. There was nothing better than watching somebody pass you, watching your friend pass you, and you had the red shell, and you just threw that thing out there, and it was like a heat-seeking missile, hit them, and then it wiped them out, and then you just drove right past them with a big smile on your face.
Yeah, and then he shot a banana peel at you.
Yeah.
Yep, or you did. Right at that.
I would always put
take.
a banana peel down, and then I'd forget about it. When I come around the other side, I would hit my own banana peel. That was me.
That was bad.
Or I don't know if you could do this in the original Super Mario Kart, but you could throw the banana forward if somebody passed you, and they dodge it, but you don't, and then you hit your own banana peel. That's even worse.
Yeah, the banana peel was a blessing and a curse at the same time. I really think it was more of a curse because anytime there was a banana peel out there, I would always hit it no matter what. If it was mine, if it was somebody else's, I was like attracted to those things. I was also not very good at Mario Kart. That probably did not help.
So did you have a Game Boy?
I did have a Game Boy. Game Boys were, they were the bomb back in the day.
Did you have Super Mario Land 2 6 golden coins?
I did not. Was that
I never played any of the
game?
Mario games on Game Boy. Another big hit was Mega Man 5. I used to love playing the Mega Man games.
Yeah, I had a Mega Man for my Game Boy. I had a Mega Man, a Mortal Kombat, and Tetris. Those were the 3 games that I would spend hours and hours playing. At least the 3 that I remember. I'm sure there were more out there, but those were the top 3 for me. But good old Game Boy. And Mortal Kombat, loved it. Loved it.
Some of the video games that were based off of TV shows or movies, we had Krusty's Funhouse come out in 92. Never played it. Batman Returns.
Okay.
Darkwing Duck.
Oh, Darkwing Duck. That was classic.
And Alien 3.
Okay.
Final Fantasy right now is at like Final Fantasy 500, but back in 92 it was Final Fantasy 5. Came out in 1992. Don't remember any of those. Was never a big RPG fan. That's really it, man. Those are all the good games that I can see. I'm scrolling through some of here. Streets of Rage 2. You had Gold Medals Challenge was a video game. It was probably awful. All Olympic games are awful. I've never played an Olympic game that I was like, yeah, that's good.
Track and Field 2 for the Nintendo. I loved it. That was my favorite.
You did?
Yeah, you didn't like
Miss
it?
America liked it too. I never played it. I played a couple of Olympic games. I was like, man, these are garbage. Before you had NBA 2K whatever, there was Bulls versus Blazers was a video game. I never. Is that where you just play as the Bulls and the Blazers? That would be awful.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Let's move on from video games. I feel like we're going down this rabbit hole of games that we don't even remember ever playing, and the list keeps going on and on. I remember Nintendo had some bad games. Like
they all did.
They had a huge library of games, and there was a few really good ones, like the Mike Tyson Punch-Out, the Track and Field 2, the games that you remember. Excite Bike, that was classic. But then there was also a just pile of trash, and that was most of these other games that came out.
Sega, too. Sega had a lot of trash games.
Oh, yeah, big time. All right, what else? 1992, I've got a couple really interesting factoids here for you about 92, and these are just random. I'm going random. I'm going off the rails here, Chris America. I'm going to throw you off. But did you know the Cartoon Network was started in 1992?
Really?
Yes, that's when it became a thing. Turner Network started the Cartoon Network in 1992. Also, the Mall of America was started back in 1992, named after Chris America. The Mall of America was established in 1992.
Young Prodigy, Chris America, and they said, "Let's name a mall after him. Let's get ahead of it. Let's get ahead of this thing."
Yes. Also, your favorite television show, Barney and Friends, started in 1992. Another popular show in 1992 that premiered, Martin. That was like a pop culture classic. Shanae, one of my favorite characters of all time. Another song that you loved. I remember you jumping and getting into this one. Criss Cross, Jump. Also classic.
I do have a story with Criss Cross. I remember wanting that tape so bad. I asked for it for Christmas, and my family's tradition for Christmas Eve is you can open up one present on Christmas Eve, and we got to do it right before going to my grandpa's house. That was another tradition we did. We always went to my grandpa's house on Christmas Eve, and I saw the present that looked like a cassette tape. I rolled the dice. I was like, this has to be the Criss Cross tape. I want to make sure I get it before we go to my grandpa's house. He lived like 35, 45 minutes away. I open it up, and boom, there it is, Criss Cross. I'm like, I got to go grab my Walkman, put the cassette tape in my Walkman, made sure the batteries were good, made sure my headphones were set, and I rode in the car listening to Criss Cross. I didn't miss the bus. I jumped, and, I did all those things with Criss Cross.
I knew that one was going to hit your heartstrings. I just knew it. I knew you were a Criss Cross guy. I don't know why.
I even one time wore my clothes backwards, and my mom's like, no, we're not doing this. Get back to your room.
Oh,
I was that kid.
And this was brought to you by Criss Cross America.
Criss Cross America.
Another song that came out that year, Runaway Train by Soul Asylum. That hit the charts.
Up in the middle of the night. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I still get goosebumps every time I hear that song. I don't know why. It's just it hits me. And then I mentioned it earlier, man. Ross Perot, he was jumping in the race. Bill Clinton, you had George Bush Sr. and Ross Perot.
That was
politics.
when
Let's talk politics
Bill Clinton,
for a second.
This is when politics was fun. It was energetic. You had a lot of fun with it. That was when Bill Clinton went on to the Arsenio Hall show and played on the saxophone. I remember it as it was yesterday. And I think without that, he doesn't win the election. I think him making himself look fun and approachable and just a cool guy, that was always the persona of Bill Clinton in 92, I felt like.
Yeah, it did help him out. And now that politics have turned into just people hating each other
and of garbage. It's awful.
Talking trash everywhere.
Maybe we need to bring Arsenio Hall back.
You know what? I love it, man. You're the man. Bring him back. What did he used to do? Ooh, 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 ooh. Yeah, that was probably bad for radio. All right, man. It looks like we're up against it. Another great show. We go back in time to 1992. We had a great show today. We want to thank all of our listeners. Any parting words, Chris America?
Who's playing tonight?
Who's playing what? Football? Okay, let's go into this real quick. Colts versus Patriots tonight, but T.Y. Hilton
Patriots.
and Marlon Mack are out. You got Patriots?
Yeah, Patriots are going to roll.
All right, Tulsa's playing Houston in college football. Who you got?
Houston.
Georgia State versus Troy.
Ooh, Troy.
In baseball, you've got the Rockies versus the Brewers.
Brewers. Brew crew. This is my crew. This is
my crew. This is our crew. Scout team.
Scout
and
team,
we
we're
got
out.
the Braves versus Dodgers.
Dodgers are going to dodge a loss. Nope. I got Braves. No,
Too
Dodgers.
late. I've already played the music.
Ah,
They can't hear you.
Braves.
Dodgers, Braves, Dodgers, Dodgers, Braves. Braves,
But this is our crew.
Dodgers, Braves, Braves, Dodgers.
Oh, we forgot to go over the Yankees rolling the A's.